The Browns quarterback competition erupted explosively during Wednesday's afternoon practice session, igniting rumors of a full-scale organizational paradigm shift after what insiders are calling the most lopsided quarterback performance disparity the coaching staff has witnessed in decades. From the moment drills began, it became obvious this was far beyond a routine positional battle. This was an evaluation. This was the establishment of a new hierarchy. For fans hungry for raw, unfiltered quarterback drama, not the sanitized narratives spoon-fed through press conferences, this storyline delivers everything. And if you've been following Cleveland's quarterback chaos since the mayhem of draft night, then understanding today's practice is absolutely non-negotiable. The turning point reportedly unfolded during a standard 7-on-7 installation period. Multiple facility insiders described a jaw-dropping performance gulf that materialized from the very first reps. Shedeur Sanders didn't just outperform third-round pick Dylan Gabriel, he dismantled him. It was surgical precision versus panicked disarray. Championship-level command versus developmental turbulence. The contrast wasn't subtle. Every offensive coach, assistant, staff member in attendance witnessed the same unsettling truth. One quarterback operated the offense with effortless mastery, while the others scrambled desperately for basic functionality. Reports say Sanders' opening drive left the building stunned. His reads were instantaneous, his timing impeccable, his ball placement filleted defenses with surgical exactness, delivering strikes precisely where each route concept intended. The entire offensive rhythm shifted the moment he stepped under center. His footwork pristine, his progressions rapid-fire, his control absolute. Veteran receivers exchanged knowing glances, acknowledging a level of quarterbacking Cleveland hasn't seen in years. This didn't look like a promising rookie. It looked like the birth of a franchise cornerstone. Meanwhile, Gabriel's session collapsed spectacularly in front of the entire organization. Sources report misfires, jittery footwork, disastrously late reads, and passes consistently thrown behind receivers, detonating the timing structure meticulously crafted throughout camp. Then came the disastrous red zone interception, triggering visible frustration from coaches, hands on heads, silently questioning the direction of the competition. Receivers trudged back to the huddle, shaking their heads, body language dripping with disappointment. One insider close to the offensive operation summed it up bluntly. The offense only moves when Shedeur is in. Everyone sees it. They won't admit it publicly, but everyone knows. Don't misunderstand. This wasn't a simple bad day. It was a systematic exposure of capability gaps. Gabriel, drafted as a developmental starter with a long runway to grow, instead found himself watching a fifth-round pick elevate the entire offensive ecosystem, while his own reps produced stagnation, frustration, and growing organizational doubt. The pressure rising around him has become crushing. Then the situation intensified even further. Sanders reportedly unleashed a spectacular 45-yard touchdown laser, threading the ball perfectly between two defenders, a throw that screamed elite franchise quarterback DNA. It's far above any developmental prospect. The offense erupted instantly, receivers chest bumping, linemen roaring, even defensive players nodding in reluctant respect. The energy on the practice field shifted violently. Then Gabriel stepped up for the next rep. A simple checkdown. Missed badly. The entire facility fell into uncomfortable, suffocating silence. No applause. No encouragement. Just the collective realization that the performance gap had become impossible to deny. The gap felt insurmountable, maybe even permanent. The moment that shattered any illusion of balance came during the full team hurry-up simulation. Sanders orchestrated a flawless drive, gliding the offense down the field across 5 straight plays. Pinpoint passing, razor-sharp decisions, championship composure under manufactured pressure. Then Gabriel stepped in, and the offense died on impact. An overthrow, a drive-killing sack, a completely blown timing route that annihilated the possession. That's when the human dynamics shifted. Receivers began drifting physically toward Shedeur. Running backs gravitated to his orbit between reps. Offensive linemen quietly reset their landmarks, little closer to the quarterback they actually trusted to lead them. They weren't following the depth chart anymore. They were following gravity. This wasn't scripted staging. It was organic leadership recognition evolving in real time. Coaches saw it. Staffers saw it. Most importantly, Gabriel saw it. And that's when things truly detonated. According to multiple eyewitnesses, Gabriel confronted Sanders near the sideline, visibly irritated that teammates were rallying around Shedeur. Instead of honoring the positional seniority of the third-round pick, Sanders didn't explode, didn't bark back, didn't create a spectacle. Sources say he simply gestured toward the practice field, as if to say, "You see what happens when I'm running this offense? The tape talks louder than your draft slot." Staff members rushed in quickly. Players formed a protective circle around the scene. The tension reportedly got so volatile that practice nearly shut down on the spot. Coaches scrambled into crisis management mode, separating quarterbacks, redirecting tempo, trying desperately to prevent a full-blown organizational PR. It's disaster in front of watching media. One person inside the building captured it with brutal clarity. Dillon watched his job vanish in real time. Shedeur took it today. He didn't ask. He didn't wait. He just took it by playing on a different level. What happened after practice might be even more revealing. The coaching staff looked rattled short answers, no eye contact, and a hard refusal to address repetition, distribution, performance disparity, or the sideline confrontation. Kevin Stefanski wouldn't touch any of it. His silence said what the organization couldn't put into words. The locker room didn't need a statement. They'd already processed the new hierarchy. Shedeur Sanders didn't just win reps today. He won his teammates' complete confidence, the coaching staff's reluctant respect, the franchise's internal alignment. Veterans who rolled their eyes at ownership's draft night decree are now watching confirmation unfold in real time. Younger players who quietly wondered whether Sanders was truly that guy now have their answer. This wasn't a throwaway August practice. This was a line in the sand the moment speculation gave way to undeniable reality. The organizational fallout is enormous. Front office personnel who spent a third-round pick on Gabriel now have to stare down brutal questions about their evaluation process, developmental timelines, and sunk cost loyalty. Coaches who initially preferred Gabriel's system, familiarity, are now being dragged toward the only thing that matters in the NFL, superior talent, regardless of draft pedigree. Ownership, mocked for interfering in football decisions with the Sanders selection, suddenly looks vindicated, but don't assume the path forward is clean. Gabriel's supporters will insist the environment is unfair to much media noise. It's too much pressure, too much organizational bias toward the owner's chosen quarterback. His agent is reportedly watching everything closely, monitoring rep counts, reading body language, and quietly exploring trade scenarios to protect his client's future. On the other side, the Sanders camp stays calm and calculated. No leaks, no drama, no public chest thumping. They're letting the film speak. Performances there, press conference. Cleveland felt the shift in its bones today. Front offices around the league, monitoring the situation, felt something tilt. National analysts tracking quarterback development felt the narrative flip. Most of all, Dylan Gabriel felt it, his job security eroding, organizational belief evaporating, competitive standing collapsing, the trajectory of his professional life bending in real time. This quarterback battle is no longer leaning toward Shedeur Sanders. If you talk to the people who watched Wednesday's practice meltdown, they'll tell you flat out, it's over. The performance chasm has grown too wide to gloss over. The internal alignment has shifted completely. Teammate confidence has been transferred, and there is no path to quietly reclaim it. This is the moment the Cleveland Browns' quarterback future crystallized before Week 1 even kicked off. Whether the organization announces it now or drags it out, under the guise of ongoing competition. The direction was set on Wednesday afternoon. Shedeur Sanders isn't battling for the job anymore. In the eyes of that building, he already took it. Chaos erupted across the Cleveland Browns organization after yet another crushing loss in a game they absolutely should have won. Inside the walls of the facility, frustration didn't just rise, it boiled over, spilling into every corner of the building. Players, staff, and even front office executives were left stunned, not because of the opponent, but because for the second straight week, the Browns chose losing with Dylan Gabriel over winning with Shedeur Sanders. According to multiple people with first-hand knowledge, the post-game atmosphere was unlike anything this team has ever experienced. This wasn't normal disappointment. This was an organizational reckoning. Veteran leaders openly questioned the coaching decisions. Younger players whispered disbelief in the locker room. Front office members exchanged silent, knowing glances as the collapse unfolded. Everyone knew exactly what they had witnessed. Everyone understood the consequences. Nobody dared speak the uncomfortable truth publicly. From the very first drive, the offense sputtered pathetically. Missed reads infected every possession. Chaotic footwork destroyed timing. Throws arrived late, always late, after the window closed. Receivers broke wide open downfield only to watch the football dive 5 yards short or sail directly into defenders' hands. Every possession felt like a rerun of the last. The defense fought for momentum. The offense handed it away immediately. Over and over and over, and just a few yards away from the carnage stood Shedeur Sanders, helmet strapped, fully locked in. He wasn't lazily watching from the sideline. He was actively diagnosing coverages, studying tendencies, mentally preparing to take control. He knew he could change the game. The team knew he could change the game. The coaching staff knew he could change the game. Everyone except one man, head coach Kevin Stefanski, despite turnovers. Despite failed drives, despite the offense collapsing into rubble, Stefanski refused to make the switch. He refused to put the best quarterback on the field. That's when the entire atmosphere shifted. Veterans began glancing toward Shedeur after every botched drive. The sidelines started dividing into two clear groups. Players who wanted to win gravitated toward Sanders. The coaching hierarchy clung to Gabriel, and this moment matters. Because it wasn't about a single game it exposed. The fault lines ripping through the organization. Sources familiar with sideline dynamics say the veterans weren't simply irritated, they were furious. Defensive players were exhausted from carrying the entire roster. Offensive linemen were tired of grinding through protection for drives that led nowhere. Receivers were emotionally drained from running perfect routes only to watch the ball arrive late, inaccurate, or intercepted. NFL players know football. They know the talent gap. They know who gives them the best chance to win. The breaking point came late in the second half when Gabriel threw yet another catastrophic interception, his third turnover. The stadium exploded with one unified demand. The fans weren't suggesting strategy. They were issuing a command. Put him in. Stefanski ignored all of it. He sent Dillon back onto the field, and the energy on the sideline collapsed. Multiple witnesses say Shedeur finally hit his limit. He walked towards Stefanski, helmet clenched in hand, eyes focused on the field. Every player around him fell silent. This wasn't disrespect. This wasn't immaturity. This was a competitor realizing his team was being sacrificed to protect someone's ego. Shedeur wanted to win. Stefanski wanted to win the argument, and Cleveland paid the price. But the fallout extends far beyond the scoreboard. This is now about organizational credibility. From this moment on, every decision Stefanski makes will be dissected with surgical precision. Every post-game interview will be reviewed for defensiveness. Every practice rep will be inspected for political messaging instead of football merit. This is what happens when players stop trusting their head coach, when veterans openly question his judgment. When young players lose confidence in the process, when an entire organization recognizes that stubbornness has been placed above competitive excellence, recovery becomes almost impossible. Inside the locker room, the Kyers weren't angry at Dylan Gabriel. They were furious at the decision. Furious at the refusal to play the quarterback who gives them the best chance to win. Receivers were emotionally drained after running empty routes all afternoon. The defense was crushed after carrying a lifeless offense for 4 quarters. Leaders were fed up with watching victory get thrown away. If you want, I can continue the rewrite from here. Build a YouTube description, craft a title, or turn this into a full episode-style narration. Receivers were exhausted from running perfect routes into empty outcomes, and linemen were drained from blocking for drives destined to collapse on schedule. Sources describe the atmosphere as funeral-like, with players leaving the locker room quickly, avoiding eye contact, refusing the usual post-game interactions. Nobody blamed the opponent. They blamed the decision. Let's be absolutely clear. This isn't about demonizing Dylan Gabriel. He is not a terrible quarterback. He possesses legitimate NFL traits. His processing speed is adequate. His accuracy is acceptable. His leadership is respectable. But acceptable doesn't win championships. Adequate doesn't beat elite competition. Respectable doesn't overcome a division led by Burrow, Lamar, and other top-tier quarterbacks who deliver victories consistently. Shedeur Sanders belongs to an entirely different category. His arm talent is undeniable. His mental processing is exceptional. His competitive fire is contagious. Most importantly, his ability to create explosive plays when structure collapses is what separates adequate from elite. And the Browns don't just need good, they need elite. They built a championship-caliber defense. They assembled offensive weapons. They constructed an infrastructure designed for immediate success. Yet coaching stubbornness now threatens to derail everything before meaningful competition even begins. The loss didn't break morale. The message broke morale. Winning was optional. Protecting the head coach's narrative was mandatory. Shedeur stayed silent as players filed out, still in full uniform, helmet at his side. He looked at the scoreboard one last time, fully aware of how this night should have ended. He could have shifted momentum. He could have taken command of the offense. He could have delivered victory. But he wasn't allowed to. Around the league, executives are watching this situation with intense interest. Other organizations are observing. Cleveland's unraveling and wondering how this coaching staff maintains authority while making decisions that appear objectively inferior. Former players turned analysts are publicly expressing disbelief. National media outlets are descending upon Cleveland. Recognizing this narrative transcends the typical quarterback controversy. It reflects institutional failure. Social media exploded moments after the game. Browns fans were viciously divided across every platform. Gabriel supporters pointed to his preparation, system familiarity, and loyalty to Stefanski. Sanders supporters highlighted his electric playmaking, competitive charisma, and undeniable winning presence. The discourse turned toxic quickly, a mirror of the internal fracture now plaguing the franchise. Consider the broader implications. This isn't rebuilding trial and error. This is a roster crafted for immediate contention in a division stacked with elite quarterbacks and championship expectations. The Browns built a foundation designed for now, not tomorrow. Instead, coaching decisions risk dismantling everything. Free agents may steer clear of Cleveland regardless of financial incentives. Draft prospects may view the organization as unstable. Veteran leaders may begin questioning whether this franchise values winning or protecting egos. Stefanski's decision represents either a principled stand or career-ending stubbornness. There is no middle ground. Either Gabriel proves everyone wrong, vindicating Stefanski's unwavering loyalty, or Sanders eventually replaces him, proving the doubters correct and exposing how stubborn loyalty wasted a golden competitive window. Everyone inside that locker room knows exactly why the Browns lost. Not because they were outplayed, not because the roster failed, but because the coaching staff refused to play Shedeur Sanders. That is the truth nobody wants to acknowledge publicly. That is the reality threatening everything Cleveland has built. That is the organizational failure that may define the entire season before it even begins. Stay vigilant. This isn't the conclusion. This is only the beginning of the fallout. Thank you guys. See you next video.